name is David Boje, and welcome to Growth OD. We're going to look at the Epstein files. I'm going to give you an analysis of what I think is going on with the rich and powerful who got ensnared in what I call the goat heads. Goat heads are these little burrs that grow and they look like a goat. I think I got upside down, whatever. So I'm going to say that there's a goat head puncture vine that we can use to explain the Epstein billionaires from all walks of life, journalism, politics, banks, universities, you name it. And Jeffrey Epstein kind of pierced them all, recruiting them into his little goat head empire. And now they're trying to get rid of all the goat heads. And the goat heads grow here in New Mexico, so I'm using it as a metaphor. And I'm going to give you a way to analyze the goat head situation of the Epstein files. And we're going to compare the victims who have formed a sorority and are taking banks, like big ones, to court and getting hundreds of millions of dollars. But they also want justice from these billionaire leaders. So we're going to use the 7 W's. Who, what, when, where, why, with whom it all is happening, and the wish each of them has. Obviously, billionaires want to get away with their complicity, their bystandingness, they're perpetrating these crimes against women and children, and the victims, their wish is for justice, and justice delayed is justice denied. So, one wants transparency, that's the sorority of victims, and to protect children from this happening again. The others want to shake loose the goat heads so that they don't influence their institutional reputation, power, money, etc., or themselves. So I'm going to tell you something personal about my own beliefs. I practice Jainism. Gurudev Sri Shishubhanu is the one who taught me some of the things I'm going to present to you. Everything is energy. Life is energy. And there's good energies and there's bad, evil energies. And you walk in a room and you can tell the energy. Can't you just feel it? With a room of executives or a room of coaches, a room of victims, you sense the energy, right? And you can sense the energy in yourself. It resonates. It attunes to the energy around you. That's basically it. And there's a number of energy centers in your body. Traditionally, they're called chakras. They were studied in Buddhism and Jainism and a lot of other disciplines since then. And I personally believe that there are these energies and people who are possessed by good energies or bad energies. And you can practice and cultivate it. That's why at Growth OD we have coaches, consultants, and we believe in an ethical, moral compass that we can attune to by listening to your stories and talking about your energy and being aware of our own energy. So I hope that doesn't freak you out that we're going to get a little spiritual today, but that's what we're going to do. Next, you're going to see a video that I directed, created, scripted, and then took to Notebook LM, and they produced what you're going to see next. So enjoy it. Thank you very much. And look up and where your spiritual compass resides.
Today we're going to dive into a pretty unsettling but really powerful new idea for understanding corruption. It's called goat head leadership. And to really see how it works, we're going to use the Epstein scandal as a case study.
So, let's just get right into it. What is goat head leadership? And maybe more importantly, how does a toxic network like this get its hooks into so many powerful people?
Okay, so to really get this, you got to understand where the name comes from. It's inspired by the goat head puncture vine. It's this nasty, invasive weed that just spreads everywhere relentlessly and chokes out everything good around it. It's a disturbingly perfect metaphor, as we're about to see.
And here's the absolute key. Goat head leadership, a term from Dr. David Boje, isn't just about one bad apple. Not at all. It describes a whole corrupt system, a kind of superorganism that grows, spreads, and fiercely protects itself. It thrives in secrecy, it's completely indifferent to pain, and, as the source material says, it's corrupt to its core.
Now, to see just how devastating this kind of system can be, we need to ground it in the real world. And the Epstein scandal, well, it serves as a stark, frankly horrifying case study of goathead leadership in action.
And look, this was not some small-time thing. We are talking about a borderless network of the world's elite. CEOs, politicians, you name it, all exposed through more than 20,000 documents. Their loyalty? It wasn't to a country or a cause. It was only to each other. And they had this chilling superpower, the ability to just look away from unbelievable suffering.
Wow. This quote right here, pulled straight from their own communications, it just tells you everything, doesn't it? It reveals this deep inner contempt for the public. There's just a complete and total void of empathy, a total disconnect from the reality that the rest of us live in.
So you might be wondering, how on earth do you even begin to untangle a mess this deep? Well, Dr. Boje gives us a unique tool for doing just that. He calls it the 7 W's of being.
And the way this framework works is it's a pretty powerful metaphor. The idea is that our core identity is made up of 7 key energy centers, what some traditions call chakras. Each of these 7 W's is like a key that can show us whether those centers are working authentically or if they've become blocked, corrupted.
Okay, so here they are. Who, what, when, where, why, with, and finally, wish. As you can see, each one connects to a different energy center, from our basic sense of self at the root, all the way up to our highest aspirations at the crown. Now we're going to use this to draw a really sharp contrast between a corrupted existence and an authentic one.
All right, let's put this tool to work. We're going to use these 7 keys to do a direct side-by-side comparison between the Goathead network and the incredibly courageous survivors who stood up to them.
So let's start with the first 2, who and what. For the Goathead network, their who was a mask, a public persona with zero real ethical accountability. Their what, the substance of their world, was all about material power, immense wealth, private islands, fancy properties. But the survivors? Their who is authentic. They are courageous survivors. And their what? It's the undeniable truth of trauma, written on their bodies and backed up by texts and emails.
This statement from the survivors just perfectly captures their relationship with the third when. When. For them, time isn't some abstract idea. No, it's a burning, urgent demand for accountability, right now.
And the contrast just gets sharper with when and where. The network was involved in what the source calls an engineering of amnesia. They were actively trying to erase the past. Their where was a kind of placelessness, a closed heart that could look away from abuse happening in very real places. The survivors did the total opposite. They remembered the precise when, the ages of 14, 16, and they named the specific where, the exact locations, demanding those places be held to account.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The survivors represent an authentic existence. They're like a seed of truth and resilience, just forcing its way up through the toxic, corrupted ground of this Goathead network.
Next up, why and with, their purpose and their community. For the network, the why was simple, pure self-interest. And their with, an echo chamber of deafening silence. But the survivors, their purpose is universal. It's about protecting children. And their community? It's a powerful sorority, a united voice that demands justice.
And that brings us to the final W, wish. What's their ultimate goal? For the network, it was purely self-serving, leading to what the source calls the being worst of the worst. The survivors' wish couldn't be more different. They wish for something bigger, complete transparency, justice, and deep, systemic, lasting reform.
Okay, so after going through all of that, it's tough stuff, what's the takeaway? After facing this kind of horror, how do we find a way forward toward healing and justice? Well, the source material offers a really interesting path forward called Arihunta wisdom, and it's based on a challenging idea that true friendship isn't just passive acceptance. No, it's an active commitment that demands you hold people accountable with the truth. It's about rejecting the elite charade and pushing for genuine change.
And this framework isn't just theoretical. It gives us some pretty practical guidance. For leaders, it's a call to be authentic across all 7 of these energy centers. For coaches, it's a tool to help people see where their own energy might be blocked. And for entire organizations, it is a massive warning sign, resist becoming a corrupt goathead superorganism.
And all of this really leaves us with one big question, a question for all of us really. Will we have the collective courage to steer clear of this painful goathead existence? Will we demand that our leaders find their moral compass and guide us towards something better, something more authentic and just?